Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for having this hearing, and thank you all for being here today. I'm Tracy Mann. I represent the Big First District of Kansas, which is 60 primarily rural counties in the western and central part of my state. I can tell you that the good people in my district have absolutely no interest in the federal government being used to further President Biden's reelection bid. Frankly, it's absurd that we even need to have this hearing today in the first place. Record high inflation, never-ending red tape, bureaucracies like the ATF at your doorstep demanding you shut down your doors for misspelling a name on a gun sale form. These are the things that real business owners are dealing with in my district every day. I said repeatedly in this room, issues like this should not be Republican or Democrat issues. It's frankly un-American that the SBA would turn themselves into an arm of the Biden campaign under the guise of, quote, small business outreach, end quote, targeting swing state voters. And that really is a fundamental issue here. No one here is against registering more people to vote. We want robust turnout elections. The issue here is going after specific swing district voters in specific areas, because we all know that elections are driven by turnout. And the turnout in certain areas dramatically impacts the election. And that's the fundamental issue here. We wonder why Americans have lost faith in their governmental institutions. It's because of this weaponization of the government. Instead of helping to register voters in swing states, the Biden administration should be helping small businesses to thrive, or at the very least get out of the way. A handful of questions. First, for you, Mr. Morales, I know you're the Secretary of State of Indiana, your state. I'm the former lieutenant governor of my state. We both know that the SBA and the executive branch have no role in the election process. The Constitution empowers the Congress and states to regulate elections. I'm also the father of 4 elementary school children. These are some basic separation of powers issues that we all learned back in elementary school. So my question for you, sir, do you believe that should Americans be concerned about the SBA involving itself in the elections process?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. The SBA should be focusing on helping small business owners. I believe small business owners are the backbone of our Hoosier economy in my state, and that should be their role. It has to be a clear separation, as you stated. We cannot generate confusion, because if people go there asking for a loan, and then they will find an application form for voter registration, that may generate confusion. That is why my election division under the Secretary of State's office, that's when we step in. We're doing everything we can to register as many eligible Hoosiers day in, day out, Congressman.
Yeah, I agree and appreciate the answer. Question for you, Ms. Parker. Our founders masterfully created the Declaration of Independence, which outlines our values, and then the Constitution came along and enshrines our values. In your view as the president of the Job Creators Network Foundation, how can America get back to these basics and stop interference like this?
That's a great question. As far as Americans, they do want to see their government work for them. They want to see their government function normally, and they don't want to see one side tip the scales for the other. And that is what the SBA is doing. I see the SBA's role as maybe an internal version of me. Essentially, they should be advocating to the administration when regulations are going to hurt small businesses. That's what I do. I spend 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year thinking about how I can help small businesses. I think that's what the SBA should be doing from the internal side.
I wholeheartedly agree. Last question for you, Mr. Whitson. In your view, are small businesses in this country better off than they were 4 years ago, and what do you think that the SBA should be focused on?
So I think if you look at the numbers, thank you for that question, by the way, Mr. Congressman. If you look at the numbers, they clearly are not. I mean, we're Biden inflation, we're suffering record high inflation levels. That affects loans, that affects a number of other things. So businesses are hurting, people are hurting. And so the SBA, like all the other federal agencies, need to focus on their primary mission and help people the way Congress intended them to. But even more important, there's a danger when federal executive agencies, led by political appointees of any party, get involved in the business of voter registration and targeted voter registration, because you're basically inserting campaign activity.
Wholeheartedly, this is targeted voter registration. This is un-American. I think everybody knows it's wrong. And Mr. Chairman, thank you for having this hearing. I yield back.